So come on in, have a seat. It is my favorite day because it's our end of week group chat. And this week we are blessed to have a brand new album from the one and only Drake. Today on the podcast, you're going to hear whether the boy has done it again. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This is Commotion. All right, why don't we begin by you having a listen to this.
The money speaking for itself, I call it fortune tell. 5 top, bro, that work at corporate sales. Chinchilla, Ushanka, we skiing out at Courchevel. Breaking news, they try to kill him, but the boy prevails. I leave for tour and can go to jail. Preaching to the dogs about wanting more for themselves. It's weighing heavy on my.
They try to kill him, but the boy prevails, indeed. That's Drake, sounding real surly, as he always does. 8 a.m. in Charlotte, that's the name of that song. It's off for all the dogs. The new album from Drake that was supposed to drop last night, but Drake was a little late in handing his homework. It dropped at 6 a.m. this morning. This is album number 8 for the biggest rapper on the planet. Mastermind is here. Sarah-Tai Black is here. Marlon Palmer is here. They've all given it a first listen, and they're here to tell us what they think. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the group chat. How's it going?
Hey, what's poppin'?
Oh, my God. I'm so excited to do this. I have so many thoughts, but I will defer my thoughts to later. Mastermind, I'm going to start with you. What's your initial reaction to this record?
Well, you know, anytime Drake drops, it's an event. I don't know if I'm too industry and maybe I'm overthinking it, but it really does feel like everything stops, you know, when Drake announces something or he's about to drop something. And the fact that people were waiting, I mean, Marlon can actually speak a little bit to how important, you know, a Drake drop could be. But, you know, the album was supposed to drop at midnight. And then he's like, hey, by the way, we got to push it back because I'm still doing something. So it's coming at 6 a.m. And again, everybody is waiting, and here we are this morning. You know, the album is 6 hours. Sorry, pardon me, is 4 hours fresh, and we're talking about it, right? So it's a really. And the other thing is 3 songs. It is super long.
It's a long record.
He's not just doing 1 minute. He's not just doing 1 minute records. Like the first 3 songs that we've heard in the last 6 months are like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So the album is super long. And then the one thing I always take away, especially from an artist like Drake, is how incredible his output is. Like how he continues to come up with stuff to rap about, to write about. And there is a testament to the type of artist he is in terms of what his content is. But the fact that he continues over 8 albums to, release music at a fairly high level is pretty damn impressive.
Sarah-Tai, I love Drake as much as the next guy, but I don't know if I agree with Mastermind in terms of having new stuff to rap about. This man is aggrieved. This man is surly. This man is lonely. These be the themes of a Drake record. I don't think we're getting something that different here. Sarah-Tai, where are you at on this record?
Well, just to start us off contextualizing my relationship with Drake.
Please do.
I hate the man. I'm ready to like give a TED talk. I think like specifically as like a biracial Scorpio, November Scorpio, like elite, not an October Scorpio.
Yeah, y'all different.
With
yes.
a white mom from Toronto, like I am really positioned well to give my TED talk about Drake, which I won't. But I'm not about to let my hateration stop me from listening to a good song.
Yes.
So I'm here for the folks who maybe are like, Drake's not my bag, but maybe this song is so good that it doesn't matter, you know? And I really like the Drake, like Drake for the girlies. That's really my mode. Like views, more life.
Yes.
Nice for what? Like, I can't deny. Why would I deprive myself of a girly bop?
Not a lot of Drake for the girlies on this record, to be honest with you.
Not a lot at all. I would say that I'm, yeah, and I guess I'm not a dog. I really liked Rich Baby Daddy. I think that's the song for the girlies. It's giving us dancey pop R&B Drake. It's giving us sample Drake where he's like working with nostalgia. It's definitely not Honestly Nevermind. Like he was very much like, I got to get back to my roots. So
Honestly Nevermind, that was the album that he dropped last year. That was a dance record that a bunch of people were like, what is this? And why did we take this turn?
And
I
then
mean,
they loved it 6 months later.
They did
Yeah,
love it. That's true. I agree. Completely agree.
it is what it is. Like Beyonce came through and we forgot about Drake. We all know that. But for me, I think this is a return to Drake, which for many fans could be welcomed. For me, not so much.
Noted. Marlon, I will say Drake has dropped 4 full-length records since 2020. We're including the collaborative album Her Loss with 21 Savage with the 21. You know the one.
Yes.
How does For All the Dogs hold up against all of those albums?
I think it fits right at the top there. Like,
okay.
CLB, I feel like he was
A certified lover boy
certified
from
lover
2021.
boy, but the album seemed confused. It seemed like all over the place. It was like he was in love and then he was scorned. But I liked a lot of the bops on there. Like the ones that hit very hard. Whereas this one, I think there's just a consistent flow of great production, great concepts, great songs. And like he doesn't really, like you said, he doesn't really talk about anything different, but he knows how to repackage what he talks about in several ways all the time. So I don't mind it. I really don't want him to talk about world politics or anything like that. That's not what I don't run to Drake for that. So everything that he's talking about is exactly what I expect him to talk about.
I want to play something else off this album, but before I do, I just want to acknowledge that you said CLB is mid. That's what I heard you say. And Mastermind
it was mid.
Okay, it was fine.
I said it was just all over the place in terms of content matter. Like
I think that's polite for mid, but
especially with the haircut, that it was going to be like, a lot of R&B heavy and like songs for the girlies.
Yes.
But it turned out to be for the dogs, regardless.
But as you were saying that, like, you know what, Certified Lover Boy was just fine. Mastermind was like, whoa. So Mastermind, I would like to give you the opportunity to make a case for Certified Lover Boy, which is a messy album to me. Like, not an album that knows what it wants to do.
Well, see, I don't listen to albums in the sense of, or maybe I'm different, right? Because I've been a broadcaster.
Oh, no, you built different. You built different. Maybe I'm different.
He's different.
Maybe I'm different. Okay, continue.
He's not like other girls.
I listen for songs that I think are gonna, hit on the radio or while people are driving or whatever the case may be. And so for me, Certified Lover Boy is actually a really dope album, and that's I think, and Marlon kind of hit on this when he was talking about Honestly Nevermind. It's like Drake drops an album. People do their think pieces in the first 24 hours. And then 6 months later, they go back and they're like, oh, man, like that album is so good. It's crazy. And that's actually been a very consistent trend for Drake. Like people will say, they'll be like, oh, Views sucks. And then they go back and like, oh, my God, Views is incredible.
Well, he took out the Billboard. He took out the Billboard that said Views was actually pretty good after, a few months after it came out. Because it's true.
Very, whatever that washing machine quote is rinse, repeat, wash, blah, blah. If that's the same thing with Drake. He releases an album, everybody talks, either they love it or they hate it. 6 months later is the real reaction to it. And they tend to go back and say, yeah, he knows what he's doing. And I think that's going to be the exact same thing with this one.
Let's hear something off the new record that I think we all had kind of an immediate reaction to.
Numero UNO, me and Drizzy like the Super Bowl, man. Then it big as the what?
Big as the Super Bowl, but the difference is it's just two guys playing that they did in the studio. Usually send they verses back to me and they be terrible, just like a 2-year-old. I love a dinner with some fine women when they start debating about who the GOAT. I'm like, go ahead, say it then. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT?
I would say that one is For All the Dogs. That's what we would call that. That's first-person shooter. It's 2 of the big 3 in rap. We're talking about Drake and J. Cole. They reference, of course, the third is Kendrick. Mastermind, part of what's kept Drake winning, I think, has been his ability to switch modes, right? He can please his day one backpacker fans. He can please the trap, rap fans. He can do pop, he can do R&B. What is the Drake that we're getting with this album from your first listen?
I think it's actually all 3. Like, and again, just going back to what we were talking about, why the album was delayed. On this particular record, he has a line near the end where he says, "I'm one away from Michael," and makes a kind of a pun where he says, "Beat it." Yeah. The fact that "Slime You Out" was the next number 1 only came out like 5 days ago or something like that. The stats for that, so it shows you he went into the studio and spit that. He's very lyrical. So like the backpacker fans, if you are a fan of Drake and his rhyme schemes and how he can, actually spit, this is that Drake. And then, you know, to Sarah-Tai's point about the girly records with, you know, the SZA and the
Sarah-Tai is just branding the girly records out here. It's fantastic.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that also exists on this album, right?
Yeah.
He knows he's not stupid, right? Like 8 albums in, he knows his fan base and he knows what to make for that fan base.
Sarah-Tai,
that's it.
Sarah-Tai, I want to ask you about maybe like the first song on this album. We get like a Frank Ocean sample. I think that's kind of like a lovely little moment. And it gives you maybe a range of the kind of emotions that Drake is working with. When you like on first listen, what is the emotional range of this album for you? What kind of mood is Drake in?
Listen, I don't think it's that deep, Elamin. I really don't.
Okay. All right.
Like,
okay.
I mean, this is very much like, a return to rapper Drake, who is not my Drake that I enjoy, which
bars,
is fine.
Drake. He's giving you bars, and you're like, I want this.
Like we've been talking about, I like his kind of like funny, like inside jokes that's happening in his lyrics. I love the nostalgia, but I'm essentially at the end of the day, like not a Drake fan. I have to really be won over.
Right. And
I'm not saying like he can't like Drake. I'm just saying that's how I feel. I think it's bold of him to have this like return to backpack rap Drake and then still like kind of be putting out digs at Pusha T, because I'm like, have we not learned?
No.
Do we still think that you're in the same weight class? Like, I really am confused. I'm like, you're about to get bodied again?
Yeah. I will say there's something kind of persistent about Drake that I love, which is that this is a man who does not let anything go. And you know what? Which is a criticism people often level at Taylor Swift. I'm like, if you want to see somebody who holds on to grudges, may I introduce you to someone named Drake? Because that man has never let a single grudge go. He still remembers every time. He's got a long memory.
He's got an elephant memory.
He's a Scorpio. He's a Scorpio.
And a willingness to keep making records about it, like so many albums later. Marlon, we also got to say at this point, I think we just got to say out loud that this is a guy who's conquered rap, he's conquered trap, he's conquered pop, he's conquered R&B. And also, he's begun to dabble in maybe what might be his other directions, right? He's a producer on Top Boy. He's a producer on Euphoria. We can't forget that he started out as an actor on Degrassi. Why do you think we haven't seen him return to that mode at this point? Because like that's the only thing that's left is like Drake, go get an Emmy challenge, you know?
Yeah, I think when he first started out, I'm pretty sure he wanted to be able to do both, kind of like a Bo Jackson, where he would be considered great as an actor and great as a rapper at the same time. And he just
he was shaped by Will Smith, music. Right?
Yeah, he was trying to be a Will Smith. And in doing that, I think there's a lot of times where we've seen his comedic side come out. We've seen the SNL skits. We've seen the Blake Griffin skits. We've seen him host award shows. But it's always in a comedic vein because he's a witty guy.
He's funny.
But
I'm just going to say
very
it.
funny.
Drake is a funny dude. I don't
hilarious.
like saying it, but it's true.
But if he goes the serious route, if he tries to do a Denzel type movie, I feel like
oh my god,
I feel like that's
Marlon.
where he's gonna run into a problem. You see, you're laughing already.
I'll be the first one in line for a ticket, first row.
This is the same guy that got shot on the show. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't think anyone. I think he's bigger than acting at this point in terms of like his name, his brand, his image. It's too large. It's almost like when you watch Lion King, but you're listening to, you're like, that's Beyonce. That's Childish Gambino. That's not Nala and Simba. You know what I mean? Like they're just too big for that role now. And I think that that's the issue he's run into. He's taking a year off, allegedly, for his mental health.
Sure.
So who knows if we see him dabble in some acting.
I want to see Drake remake, Denzel's John Q. That's what I want to see. Let's see. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens because...
No, it's going to be
See
fences.
what happens, though, if
it's going to be fences.
What happens, though, if he's actually sick? What happens if he's actually like...
Then if he's good at dramatic acting, then Marlon, I will have to retire because...
I think he's the Antichrist at that point. That's too much.
Okay, we're going to keep it moving. We are now going to go and start talking about this.
My biggest insecurity, I got a bald-ass head.
My past sounds like 8,000 walking red flags.
Women are getting territorial.
Did you just burp?
I did.
Welcome to Love is Blind.
God, I hate the show. I really do. That's a clip from the latest season of the hit reality show Love Is Blind. It is a hit. It is a hit despite my protests, everybody. I've been standing on the streets being like, not again. But the premise is simple. People love the show. People love the show because people come on the show in order to get married. But the catch is you can't know who you're marrying until you actually propose to them. You talk to them through the pods. Everyone has seen Love Is Blind. Anyway, Marlon, this series has a reputation for being really messy and even kind of problematic at times. Has that reputation changed this season for any reason you can think of?
Absolutely not. This is cinema. This is what we pay to see. This is why I have a Netflix subscription. This is exactly, and I think this show has come at the perfect time. Perfect time in history. We're looking at the loneliest time right now, and you're seeing a result of that. I think a lot of these people are desperate for some sort of deep connection that they don't have on the outside world, right? Yeah. And because of that, you're seeing a lot of these Hail Marys, which turn out to blow up in their face later on. I do notice that the show itself is doing things for their mental health. Like they're giving them more activities in the pod, different things to do other than sit down with a notepad and a pen. But it still veers off the tracks. Just like any other Love Is Blind season. It's great.
I got to say, Sarah-Tai, that read of Love Is Blind as a show about loneliness feels real Pollyannish to me. And I'm saying that because I think the first season was kind of like that. It hit as we were sort of arriving in the middle of the pandemic. But then you get to the season and you're like, these people just love mess. Like this is a season about mess. We're going to try to not spoil too much, but episode 3 of this new season of Love Is Blind has the biggest plot twist ever. What was your, I don't know, let's say spoiler-free-ish reaction to that? You know what? No, Sarah-Tai, we got to spoil it, which is to say that...
Spoil it! Oh my God!
Can I spoil it a little? Okay, fine.
Who are you asking? Ask the people.
The people can't talk to us right now. So, fine. Why don't you give the reaction without a spoiler if you can? When we arrive at episode 3, what happens?
I will say, much like how I like the song Drake titled BBL Love, I love something that revels in its own humor and machinations, which is to say, I really enjoyed this twist. I loved the Wizard of Oz kind of curtain reveal in terms of the producers manipulating what we saw.
Yes.
Because I think that especially it was kind of starting a bit before the pandemic with what's her face? Does It Give You Joy? That woman?
Yeah.
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah, there's been a shift in reality
which she also says,
towards
I love mess. That's her other quote.
Yes.
And that's
she's just like us. She's just like us.
Yes.
But there's been kind of a shift towards sincerity and authenticity in reality TV. You see that in the reboot of Queer Eye too.
Yeah.
And I'm not here for that because I'm let's call a spade a spade. This is a show with contestants. You're never going to fool me that this is real life. As a gay person, I'm watching this as an anthropologist to see what the normie straights are doing, what the most NPC out of all of the straight people are doing.
They're not doing this. They're not doing this, Sarah-Tai. It's much worse.
Not.
So I really liked it. I'm like, yes, give me it. Play a game. Let's play a game in honor of Saw 10's release this month. Let's play a game.
It's very much a Saw vibe. That is how that twist was. When it hit, I think my jaw dropped and I was really mad. Mastermind, you're a little bit like me. You don't really watch the show. You've never really watched Love Is Blind, but you were gracious enough on our behest to give it a shot. Very generous of you. Thank you for doing that. What did you think?
Well, first of all, the fact that we're into season 5 kind of blew my mind when I was told about it. Maybe I'm in a bubble and I have no idea. And I do have a Netflix account as well, so it's kind of weird. But I went.
How do you feel about Taylor Swift?
Listen,
Marlon, don't derail this.
We don't have time.
Let Mastermind go off on Love Is Blind.
A whole other episode.
That is a whole other episode.
So, listen, I went into it thinking that I was actually, going to hate it, and I didn't hate it. It was actually interesting. I don't know if it's a show that I would continue. I watched the first episode, and even with some of the way they hook you for following episodes, I don't know if I'll continue watching. And I do kind of know what the twist in episode 3 is that you guys are talking about. So I don't even know if that's enough for me to be like, oh my God, I gotta I got to go back and watch the rest of this. It's
It
kind
is.
of one of those.
It is enough.
It's not though.
That
Marlon.
woman is
I mean,
evil.
it's not. Listen, have some self-respect.
That
Marlon.
woman
It's
is
not.
evil. She needs some self-respect. What is happening?
All right,
So
continue. Sorry. Go ahead.
listen, the whole concept of it is kind of cool. But again, for me to watch two people talk and like the fact that in episode 1 there was one contestant who thought she fell in love and then started, two of them actually started crying because it didn't go their way. I'm like,
beautiful.
Love hurts, man. Love hurts.
Beautiful.
That's what we're watching. We love to watch the Delulu people.
One day? Oh my God. Okay.
That's cinema. That's cinema.
I love that this is Marlon's line about the show. It's like, this is as cinema as it gets. Marlon, I got to ask you this. As the season continues to develop, is there anyone that you're rooting for? Like, be straight with me here.
I think Izzy's like the one normal person.
No, what is going on?
I think Izzy's the one normal guy, even though he's had 2 moments that were very questionable where he had to felt the need to reprimand this girl for being mean to him. That was weird. But other than that, I feel like he's a pretty decent guy. He seems like the most just normal person on the show, and I usually root for the most normal person.
Sarah-Tai's gonna pass out from you saying that.
I'm blacking out. I'm blacking out right now.
Sarah-Tai,
just say you hate bald men. That's okay.
I love bald men. Hello.
Sarah-Tai, is there anyone you're rooting for?
I mean, not Izzy, like the glitching character from freaking what's the car stealing video game, Grand Theft Auto? He's like a glitching cashier with no face. That's his vibe. He's like, oh, you have life experiences? That's too much for me. I gotta go.
But is there anybody that you're like, yeah, this person deserves and should find love? I
hope Aaliyah finds love. I think she seems the most normal.
God.
But
you gotta be
Can I finish my sentence?
Go on.
She seems the most normal out of the group of people who seem the most abnormal that I've ever seen. Like, does anyone know where JP was on January 6th, 2021? Like, people are... This is the most unhinged season where there's, actually no one normal. And it's very strange to watch, especially because, you know what? Don't even get me started. I'm still reeling at the fact that someone here is a fan of Izzy.
You're a fan of Aaliyah.
I didn't say a fan. I'm choosing
accountability. She ran.
This is amazing.
Said nothing to
I'm choosing the least weird of all weirdness.
She broke that man's heart with no.
Maybe Taylor. Actually, I think Taylor's the most normal. Taylor's the most normal.
I'm gonna get in here as a referee and be like, for people listening who don't know who these people are, I guess that's why you watch the show. You're right. You watch the show to be like, I'm rooting for this person because they strike me as the most normal. And then other people get mad at you for thinking that. And
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not rooting for anyone. That's the point of the show.
Exactly.
All right, we got 2 minutes left. We're gonna do a very quick round of recommendations from each of you, if you don't mind. Mastermind, what should I do with my weekend?
Check out The Continental, which is the prequel to the John Wick movie series.
Okay.
It's really it completely follows the stylistics of the John Wick movies. Really well done, well written, very entertaining. I think we're 2 episodes in, maybe 3 at this point.
Perfect. Love to catch a show that is only just starting. That's because I don't want to catch up on a whole season, So that's
you're right. You're right there.
Let's go. Sarah-Tai, what about you?
I already recommended this a couple months ago, but I'm going to keep recommending it because I'm making it my job in life.
Love that.
Somebody Somewhere, which you can watch on Crave.
Yes.
Starring Bridget Everett, the most amazing body cabaret singer-performer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comedy drama. It's dark in the way that life is, and it's funny in the way that life is, and it just makes me feel really nice. And it's a text that I'm sincerely engaging with, which I think would surprise people who are listening.
I've cried every episode of Somebody Somewhere. Marlon, what about you? Take us home.
I'm going old school. I'm going for something that's been out. Everybody Loves Raymond. I feel like I need to preach the gospel of this show because no one ever does. And, it gets left out of the Seinfeld. It gets left out of the Friends conversation. And I think that is a disservice to humanity.
This is why we do the show. Because of this exact chaos. Thank you so much, everybody. Mastermind, Sarah-Tai Black, and Marlon Palmer. Y'all have been wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. This has been great.
thank you.
Of
Everybody loves
course.
Raymond Supremacy.
Sarah-Tai Black is a freelance film critic. You can read their work on CBC Arts and the Globe and Mail. Mastermind is a program director at Toronto's Vibe 105 FM and the host of Mixtape North on Channel 164 on Sirius XM. And Marlon Palmer is an actor, comedian, and the co-host of the Extra Gravy podcast. And that is it for our show today. Before we go, I just want to tell you about some of the amazing folks who help get the show on the air. Commotion is produced by Stuart Berman, Ty Callender, Danielle Grogan, Jane Vancouverden, Jess Lowe. Our digital producer is Amelia Ekbal. Our director this week has been Gene Kim. Our engineer this week is Sam Hashmi. The senior producer is John Perry. And the executive producer of the show is Anne McKeegan. If you missed anything from this week, you can absolutely find it wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can find it on YouTube as well. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. I'm going to be here next week, so if you're going to be here, I would love to hang out. See you then.